create in me a clean heart. A clean heart means there's something messy inside. And the longer you've been in church, the more you don't like to admit it. The more you might even have fooled yourself to say, it's not there. Because it's real easy for me to look at other people and to say, man, why aren't they more like me? Why aren't they doing this stuff right? And it's easy for me to look at the stuff I'm doing in church and go, well, yeah, I work for God. That's right. I gotta be right with God. You know, when I get in those places, I put myself right in the same camp as the first people Jesus was talking to. Pharisees. Who thought that everything was A-okay inside. And I can do those things. I can pretend that the heart's clean as clean can be. I can pretend that other people have a bigger problem. I can pretend that Jesus doesn't even see what's going on. Because nobody else sees. Shoot, all I got is my screen. Nobody else sees what's going on. I'm behind closed doors. Nobody else sees what's going on. But I'm fooling myself. Because Jesus is God. Right? And Jesus sees what? The heart. He doesn't just see outside. And every once in a while, he wants to hold up that mirror and let me see that about myself. You know what I find is sometimes the older I get, I find I get crankier. And then, like, the things that didn't used to bother, I used to have this heart was full of compassion for people and stuff. And now sometimes I'm like, really? You know, I can't be bothered. Well, why are you plaguing me with this thing? Why can't you just figure it out and get it right? How long have you been hearing sermons? Like I'm better? If my heart is like cold and self-righteous, and I pulled arrogant off the... If my heart is arrogant, is that heart close to God? I got to get rid of it. And I can't do it myself. That's why I think that verse, creating me a clean heart, actually another translation is creating me a new heart. Because we don't just need a little bit of a clean up, we need a transplant. And the new heart comes from Jesus. And that's what David finally figured out. See, David was someone who lived well before Jesus, and he followed God, and he loved God, but he also loved himself. And he followed himself, and that led him to some, as Alex said, some bad places. He did some really, really bad stuff. And he tried to ignore it and hide it, and it wouldn't work. And he finally figured out, this is making my life a mess. My heart is not right, and I can't fix it. So he wrote down Psalm 51, verse 10. He said, God, create in me a new heart. I cannot do this myself. And God, you see the heart. And would you change mine? And when David did that, his whole world opened up again. And so can yours. I mean, Mark's actually done a really good job of setting this up for us. Because if you see that Jesus sees the heart, and you have a hint of that inside everything's not so great all the time, you might be a little scared. But Mark's already shown us some other stuff about Jesus. He's shown us that in Jesus, God is close, and he's here to help us. He comes alongside of us. And we've seen, if you've been with us, Jesus used his authority to forgive sins. And you've seen that Jesus loves everybody, even outsiders, even people with messy lives, even people who don't seem to fit in. And last week, we saw that Jesus has compassion. That means he's got a deep, heartfelt love, again, for us. And because we've seen that, when we see today that, oh, Jesus sees the heart, we also see, but he's here to help. He sees my heart, and he wants to give me a new one. He wants to clean me up. So we can ignore the fact that the heart's a mess, or we can understand that Jesus sees what's there, and he's here to help. And he wants to help me change. And you know, that's the way to healing. That's the way to a better life. That's the way our relationship with God really works right. When we admit, I can't do it, and I need help. I need you. In our growth groups, we'll talk about this week, stony hearts and how to turn them around. And we'll talk about a guy named Paul, another follower of Jesus, who was like, why do I always have this? Why do I have to keep doing this all the time? That's what I've started figuring out. I can't just say, okay, give me a new heart, and then I'm done with it. Because that yucky stuff kind of clings there. So it's like I got to start every day. And some of you might be just exploring Jesus today for the first time. Some of you have followed him for a while. But whatever end of the spectrum you're on, the heart, every day, needs to be renewed. You can't do it yourself. You can't do it myself. But that's what Jesus came to do. Will you pray that prayer today and tomorrow and the day after that? Jesus sees the heart, and he came to make your heart better. Create in me a clean heart. Clean up the messes. God, give me a new heart. Give me a heart that beats after yours.